Hello. Turn it on. Hello. 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 Oh, all right. This video is I guess it's kind of a political video, but it's also kind of related to the Bible. I'll probably get into that the second part, just so they have something more to say than just the shallow basics. So, politically, what's going on is in the there's kind of a repolarization of all the political views. So it's kind of like there's anti-war people, there's pro-Israel people, anti-Semitic people. There is people that are fiscally conservative but libertarian. You've got people that are part of the MAGA movement. They're like purists. They're like, we have this vision and that's it. We got to stay to the program. And they're almost like telling Trump what the MAGA. Well, I'm kind of giving my opinion here. Kind of my opinion is that they're kind of telling Trump what the MAGA thing is, and MAGA is not. I don't like it. I don't see it like a constitution. Okay, it's just a vision. So anyway, the question is like, is Trump a neocon? I think that that's not the most fair thing to ask of Trump, because he's kind of in his own category of thinking and stuff, and I think he has he's been, maybe like from my own experience, like I was kind of a neocon. I was kind of supporting Iraq war, and I was supporting Afghanistan, sort of. Well, I didn't really support it. I just knew it was going to happen. And I guess that's kind of where I am right now. It's just kind of dismissive. Like, you think we're not going to go to do this, you know what I mean? Um, I guess I'll have to spit it out. Like, you know, uh, we're not going to go. Like, are you thinking that we're not going to be doing something? So it all depends, because I never know what the facts are. So I'm speaking out of ignorance, really, because we don't never really know. We can be hidden the facts and things like that. So uh, you could speculate if Trump is going to get involved in the Iran war with Israel, but the bottom line is that I don't really think there's a really defined MAGA. It's America first. We know that. As far as being non-interventionist, like, what presidents have not said that they want peace? I mean, you'd have to be an idiot to not say that you want peace, right? I mean, these nut jobs on the other side that are of where the MAGA part is, like, completely opposed to that, which is the most opposed people are probably the deep state and the um, people that are kind of been radicalized, I guess is what you would say. Um, so so I just want to kind of, maybe I'll just go over like the benefits and like benefits and distractors, and also put a Christian perspective in there. Um, so a lot of Christians say, we shouldn't be going to war at all, and I totally get that. I totally get that. But there's two games, It's kind of like, okay, it's kind of like, I'm like, if I was president, what would I do? Put yourself in the position of Trump, okay? So are you going to do, like, I think what I'm saying is you can be too extreme in your idealism, and you can be idealistic to an extreme. And so MAGA is kind of an idealism, and so uh, you could take that to an extreme. And so all you have to do is just watch out for people that are not allowing for a public discourse to happen. Um, so, like, from a strategic point of view, like, for example, what would be the best, America first? What would be the best outcome for America? So now that's what the argument is it's not in our best interest to get involved in more wars because in the past it has been detrimental to the America First agenda. Okay, so the MAGA event should be saying, people should be saying, uh, no, we don't want to get involved because we've seen what happens. And so I totally understand that point of view, and it's a concern of mine. But like I said, I think that his point of view is kind of from a neocon perspective, but not the kind of neocon that, like, for example, what's his name, Bolton was, or some of these. And Trump even said the guy was extremely a neocon, warmonger. And so Trump is not a warmonger. He's not always trying to tell people, yeah, we should be going to war. There's other people that say that might be within his circles, but they're not. So let's get to the details now about Israel versus Iran. So we look at Israel, and let me just take a swig here. Topo Chico is really good. If you're in Southern California, you might be able to find that. So let's take a look at it from a perspective of, like, what are the facts? Let's look at a strategic thing. So why do we really need to get rid of all the nukes in Iran? So is that just a scare tactic from? Is that just a scare tactic from, the neocons and whatnot? Oh my gosh, there's nukes there. They could be lying. It could be that the nukes got already destroyed by Israelis. In fact, it could be happening right now. It could be that those Israelis will be able to completely disable their. Well, first of all, if they have, block off the front of the bunker, there's a problem there. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, you got to really be skeptical about that. Like, watch out, because. So I don't want to say all this and then go, oh, well, yeah, people come back and go, yeah, you were all for it because you said there's nukes there. And I'm going, oh, I was just based it on a hypothetical scenario. See? So I'm covering my own, what. So hypothetically, let's say there is nukes there. What the description I've gotten was that they have enough yellow cake or whatever it is, 60% or something, that they could quickly move up to where they could get to the high grade, nuke explosive level, whatever that is. And I don't know much about that. I know about nuclear reactions, and I kind of know about how uranium works a little bit, but that it's decaying, very fastly decaying. So you can look at that and go, okay, if that's really true, that they're really there, but let me ask you this question. Do you think that Iran would use them if they had them, if the Ayatollah was in power? And basically, he had some kind of a structure there, enough to be able to do it. And that's another whole question, like, what if he's just sitting there in a basement, he can't do anything? See, if he can't do anything, so would that mean that there's other people involved that could do this without him? And I think that's part of what's going on, is he doesn't really have, I don't think he's got a direct command. He just told them, shoot off all your things, and they're like going, okay, let's not shoot them all off at once. They have strategic on the field strategy going on. They don't need him to tell. They don't need a chain of command. They just have some guys out there going, hey, let's do this, by consensus it could be even, or just a few commanders that are agreeing on one idea, So a lot of them are just run away, so there might not be that much left. There might just be just the people that are shooting the missiles, and they just all radio each other or whatever, signal each other, we're going to do it now, like that. So, or one guy shoots it off, and then, they all start shooting, That's probably what's going on. So that's the question is, okay, that's a possibility. So from a USA First strategy, not like your ideology or anything, just a practical thing. Is this America first? Is this America First agenda? Or is this falling into the hands of the neocons, those damn neocons? And I have to say that Trump historically has shown that he has some neocon in him, at least. And I'm not saying I don't have any neocon in me either, you know what I mean? But so it's kind of like I can understand Trump from that aspect. Like, okay, I get it. He's been there. He's seen all these dictators do all this stuff, and he's got that. We got to make sure that they don't nuke us, type of thing. So is that just the same old story? That's a question, a valid question, but still, I don't really. How do you say it? I don't really. I can't really think of anything that's going to be uh, more information or anything into that whole area. Maybe somebody could enlighten me, but I'm just like, it's pretty simple, isn't it? It's kind of a yes or no. I'm not saying yes or no in your final decision, but just from this phase, you use your thinking in phases, and you start off with the hypothetical. You don't jump to conclusions. You just go, okay, if they have this, would doing this be in our best interest? And then you answer yes or no. And then now the fact that you're talking about nukes, you talk about what the consequences would. You have to weigh it out against the potential consequences of. So the most extreme is that scary thing. Those damn nukes are going to come our way and blow us apart. They're going to hit major. Well, what if they do hit a major air base of ours? What if they hit some kind of a base? Is that acceptable? Maybe that's not so bad. But, maybe they just nuke a base or something. Maybe, I don't know. That's kind of uh, that's kind of a, you're kind of playing God there. I guess that's what I want to say. It reminds me of the abortion question. Like, well, what damage could you do if the baby had just now been conceived and kill the baby? Maybe that's not such a bad thing, you know? But then I start realizing, wait a second, why is it my decision to decide what's okay and what's not? See what I'm saying? So I don't have any way to really tell you that what the morals are, or what we should do morally or anything. I'm just talking about, let's look at all the possibilities of consequences and try to make the right decision based on that. And so we're saying that the worst case scenario would be in the few months or maybe a few years or something, like if we keep negotiating with them instead of going in there and getting the nuke out. You got to get that nuke out because you're a neocon, okay? I'm just kidding. But so, are you going to go that route or not? Is it a neocon thing? And that's part of my whole spiel here. Um, I guess you could say yes, because in the purest form, I think somebody that is a true isolationist, yeah, a true isolationist would say um, that their ideology is the only ideology. That, like, you have to be isolationist, and there's people like that, and that may be a valid thing. They may be right. Okay, that we have no business getting into anybody's war. We should only just be defending our own territory. Even these maybe even these bases, like we have to wait for them to strike first and then we get them. Maybe, I don't know. So so is it neocon? Possibly. Is it the worst? Like, now, let me just say, this is kind of why I think this whole thing is kind of silly. Like, oh, being so angry with Trump and just disowning him, saying he's not MAGA, he's a same old neocon guy, right? Now, I would really strongly recommend being skeptical and always wait and watch his every move and watch how he talks and stuff. In fact, that might teach you how he works. He's very much into peace through strength. And if you're into peace through strength, you're going to sound a lot like a neocon, because what you're doing is you're threatening people. You're saying, we've got this. Oh, yeah, I'm thinking about it. Well, I'm not going to tell you when I decide, but we can't, they can have nukes. They can't have nukes, you know, not leaving any other options. If he's sitting there going, well, these guys tell me this and these guys tell me that, I'm not sure what I want to do. And yeah, that's not very strong. So you got to wait until he does something to determine if he really is a neocon. I mean, just because he's considering doing it, well, I don't know. I mean, it's like you should consider everything, shouldn't you? I mean, so, yeah, he is strongly considering which would be a neocon option and may have already executed it and has, to a certain extent, already gotten involved by sending over support of some kind there. Like, they probably have something over there. So I find it to be an interesting situation, the amount of backlash, and I think it's starting to kind of congeal again. It's kind of like, you know, so I don't know, I don't know, I don't know where to stand on it exactly, because I'm both idealistic, I'm a Christian, and I don't want to make a stand. I'm just kind of like trying to just let's share what the truth is. What's the truth? What really is the truth? It's up to you if you think that, uh, if you think that going to war with Iran's good or not. But when it comes down to my own personal opinion, maybe I'm a little bit more of a neocon, more dismissive of this whole backlash thing. Like, we're really going to abandon Trump over just this one thing that's a pretty tough decision. I mean, we're talking about nukes here. So, I mean, I know that this has happened before. I know that that's what the neocons always done, is scared us. We don't want to be stupid again and get fooled by the neocons. I totally get that, and that's why I'm even talking about this. I wouldn't even be talking about this if that wasn't something. I hope you can hear me. I don't even know which device I'm using. My headset's no. I haven't been on here in a while. Oh, I kind of wanted to go into a little bit of the biblical part of this. So I used to study like end times prophecy really heavy, and even argue it and stuff like that. And I decided that I don't want to do that anymore. But I'm kind of coming back to the Bible study part of it. As far as the arguing and the kind of the like trying to be an expert or anything like that. I'm not an expert. I'm just this guy that reads the Bible once in a while, and don't claim to be any big. That's what I'm trying to say, is I'm not trying to make any claims to be anything expert or anything. So I just kind of trying to look at what is going on, and I always come up with these theories, and I kind of embarrassed to even talk about them. So it's kind of hard for me because I'm not like it used to be, where I would like kind of like work on it and make sure I had it all down pat and then say something. I'm uh, not. This is not what this is about. This is kind of more like reading a horoscope or something that's not really that solid. You know what I mean? But I'm just kind of like trying to. There's like I'm gonna like let me just say it this way. I think sometimes, and I was thinking, what if all this stuff that the Bible's saying and all this stuff that we're saying, we're interpreting it wrong or interpreting parts of it wrong. And so I'm trying to look at it, reset the, control alt delete, reset my thinking and not make any assumption at all. Just kind of like just throw random stuff out there, like kind of like Einstein or like Brian Eno. If you look up those people, how they think, and I've practiced that in other areas. So if that was, we do that, we just try to uh, try to just look at things differently and not worry about getting all messed up. So what I was thinking about was like here's an example, I guess. Let me just say it's an example, because I'm kind of embarrassed to really get into this. But let's look at the change that's happening in the world right now. So let's play the tape and see what happens down the road. So it's looking like it's about, I'd say, 80% certain, 90% certain that the Ayatollah is going to go bye-bye, and maybe that whole regime is the whole Islamic dominance, that whole tyranny is going to go down the tubes, and something else replaced that maybe it's not as bad. We don't know. But if that happens, there's something in the Bible that's, I just read 2 Thessalonians 2, and it was talking about that which restrains will be taken out of the way. So I was just wondering if Iran is like the Ayatollah or the Islamic nations in general, like if they've been restraining, because that's kind of what they're doing in a way. They're trying to but it says he that restrains. So is it just the Ayatollah? You know, so if it's just a person, is that it? You know, a lot of people say it's the Holy Spirit, or that something is restraining the whole. What's good? I have to reread the Bible on that. So I was thinking like some kind of change could happen that would open the way. Like we could be just the very fact that all this thing's happening. You know, we had the Arab Spring, and now we're having the opposite. We're having the Abraham Accord and the reversal, westernization of Saudi Arabia, and maybe Iran, and a westernization happening. So it's a new era. It could be a new era of prosperity, hopefully. Um, um, so we could have that, and something happens as a result of that that leads to the next phase where what could be going on is something where it's the timing is just right for like the next move of whatever Satan's going to do, like something like that. Like it's kind of like you tried this and you knew that this is only going to work so long, and then that didn't work after a while, and then you tried the next thing, like that. All right, see you later.